What's up, guys? This is Let's Talk Horror Movies here, bringing guys a Blu Ray update for the month of June. I know it's been a little bit since I've uploaded videos. Just been busy with work. I get the weekend off. I work Monday through Thursday. I get Friday through Saturday off, or Monday through Sunday off. I go to the movies on Friday, and then the next 2 days I should have more free time to do things, but I just haven't been in the... I've been just trying to relax and, things like that. But I'm going to get back into the groove. There's a few movies I have not got a chance to review. But I did get to see Toy Story 5 last night. I did post my short on there. I loved it. I'm a big Toy Story fan, so they did not miss. But getting to the stuff I picked up for this month, some of it is just a lot of stuff that I have not picked up yet. I don't think there's anything here that's like except for, I think, actually only one movie out of this is something I have had before, but it's an upgrade. This upgrade I don't know when this came out. Was it last year or it was sometime this year it came out, but yeah, I just wanted to get this out and just be able to show what I picked up. So let's start off with the first, and most of it, only four of the titles are not 4K. But yeah, here's the first 4K. Avatar, Fire and Ash. Easily, I think, my favorite of the franchise. 3, 2, it goes Fire, Ash, Way of Water, and the original. And I don't hate the original. The original just didn't stick with me, but I've gone back. I went back to it, or I need to go back to it. But after watching 2 and 3, it really enforces my enjoyment of this franchise. So, but yeah, this visually, I mean, it's just impressive. The performances, the attention to detail James Cameron has with these films is just insane. And sadly, we're not getting Avatar 5 or Avatar 4 until 2029. So, actually, when you think about it, it's only 3 years away. It's not too long when you think about it, because you think of 2029 or 2030. Was it 2029 or 2030 for 4? I forget if they pushed it back. I forget for that one. But no, this is great. I love the Ash the people, dealing with the Varang group, the Ash people, led by Varang, who's badass and just brutal. And I love Spider. I think is a lot better, and I think performance wise is better here than Way of Water. I just really liked everything about what this movie does. I saw this in 4DX, and that was such an experience. I haven't watched it since, but I do plan on watching it sometime soon. I know this comes to Disney Plus on June 24th. So if you guys want to check it out there, it's going to be there. But I do highly recommend this one. The one disc has the 4K. The disc 2 is the Blu Ray, and then the third disc is the Blu Ray bonus features, including the making of Avatar, the John Landau tributes, the RDA orientation, and the Dream is One music video. So again, like I said, I do highly recommend this film. Yeah. Next, this just came in the mail today, and this is the limited Lionsgate limited edition, high tension 4K. Now, this did have a 4K before, but it didn't have the unrated version. So I waited. I didn't know they were going to release a steelbook. So this is a steelbook. You could tell from there. Like I said, this is just sealed. This also had new limited extras on the Lionsgate disc. That's why it's another good get. This is also on sale during the Father's Day weekend, till the 23rd, I believe. It was only $21. Before tax, I believe. But yeah, High Tension is one of those, the first of the French Extremity You know, before Martyrs, it was before Inside. I think it was before Frontiers. Is one that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, this one, I'm a big fan of Alexander Aja. I think because he eventually went to do the Hills of Ice remake, and he also did Crawl. The biggest issue for a lot of people with this film has been the ending. And honestly, yeah, it is a frustrating ending because... And I was reading up on what the difference was, because the twist is not supposed until... That twist is not supposed to happen until the last, 5 minutes of the movie. And it makes more sense because it's just seeing it from her point of view kind of thing, I guess. I forget how... I was reading the quote, or reading the article, or what... really it was. I know the big difference was it was supposed to be the last 5 minutes, but it happens within 20 minutes, with 20 minutes still left, and it just doesn't feel like it. Obviously it doesn't make sense, and for a lot of people it's hard to go back and watch this knowing what's going to happen, because if you're thinking about it logically, and there's some movies you don't think about logically, or just try to have fun with it even if logically you're just looking through that. But this one, the things that happen just... And some would say, oh, it's just because about her mindset, but it's the way some of the things happen. You're just like... It really doesn't make sense. But I think this is still one that I like the performances. It's bloody. It's brutal as fuck. It's shot really well. It's one of those that I just had to have on 4K. And again, it's one of those that I remember when it first came out. I know there's some other things that with the Mary and her feelings towards Alex and things like that, and maybe this was kind of the first of its kind. It was very progressive, the idea. Now, some have read it as not as progressive in that way, but I don't know. Not my part to speak on that. But that's kind of some of the thought. Also, that was also there too. That was the first time I really seen something like that here. But yeah, there's a bunch of special features. You got the one on the 4K, the Blu Ray. Along with the other limited Lionsgate limited extras. You got commentaries, you got interviews, the making of, but yeah, this is definitely something that I would give a shot, though it's really the last 20 minutes is probably where it will affect your guys's thoughts and opinions on that. So but yeah, I would give it a shot at least. Next we got a couple movies. These are actual movies. These are Blu-ray releases. They're just Spanish packaging through the Valhalla group on eBay. So they have movies that you may not be able to don't have in a US release, a US Blu-ray release, but they do have and they do have the English audio on these, unless it's specifically, so you have to go to the eBay and it will say US, either US, it's for the US, you can watch it through US players, or it has, the packaging says English or says Spanish or German packaging, but it has English audio. That's what these are. At least 3 of them, these are. And the first one is Shadow of the Vampire. This is one that I've wanted on Blu-ray for a while, but it doesn't have a US release, and the only way you can get it is a US DVD. And I forget how pricey the DVDs were, especially to get a brand new one. And I was just like, I know, and I think the DVD has much more special features. This still has some making off in a trailer, but the trailer, I don't think you can do this English audio in the special features. But this is about the making of Nosferatu, but in a unique way where John Malkovich plays Murnau, and he finds Max Schreck, but Max Schreck is actually an actual vampire who's played by William Dafoe, and it's really about Murnau really willing to do everything he can to make this movie happen. So it's a meta take on the movie, because the idea was Moreau felt like a lot of people, I guess at that time, felt like he was an actual vampire. So it just made a lot of sense. So it has humor, it has horror elements. It feels like one of those, you know, the business aspect of making a movie. It has everything. William Dafoe, John Malkovich give great performances. William Dafoe was nominated for an Oscar for this. He didn't win, but this is the one I would definitely highly recommend if you're into the Nosferatu, the vampire stuff. This is definitely something I really do enjoy and would highly recommend. Like I said, it does have a making of in a trailer, but I would say, for me, was about getting the movie. But if it has a couple extras, that's really cool. Next, we got Volcano, which stars Tommy Lee Jones, and Anne Hesh, Gabby Hoffman, Don Cheadle, Keith David. This is about L.A. It's getting hotter and stuff is happening, and ultimately lava starts to erupt underground, and now they have to find a way to stop it. It's one of those classic disaster films. This is 97, between 97 and 99. I think it was 97. And yeah, this has, I think, an official release, but it's expensive. It's out of print. So yeah, this is one that I always go back and rewatch at least every couple years, or even more than that. And I was just like, I finally have to pick this one up. Again, there is an official release. You have to look through eBay if you want the official release. The official release has Tommy Lee Jones on the cover of it. This is like, I think this is the official poster, but for the official release, the US release was Tommy Lee Jones. So, but again, that was out of print. Again, this has the English audio, so you'll be able to watch them. I do recommend Volcano if you like disaster movie stuff, and it's a lot more, feels intense, and feels the way they make you feel here, like you do not want to be around that. Yeah, so I do recommend this. Next, this is one that is getting a 4K upgrade, but we've been hearing it constantly. There should be news coming soon. I picked this up just so I'd be able to watch it, because I don't think there's any other way to watch it, at least from what I know. I used to have the original Blu Ray, but I actually sold it for a couple $100. Someone offered me, I think, yeah, a couple $100, at least $150, and I only spent $7 on it. And this is around the time when the 4K was announced. It was announced it was coming to 4K. Obviously, it's been really slow rolling, and it was, it's disappointing because it is one of those ones that you want to keep in the collection. But if it was getting a 4K upgrade, and that went to more movies and stuff, that money, so it's one of those things where I really don't do that. I think that, and I think House of Dead are the only two movies I've ever sold particularly. House of Dead, I just like that one. I probably, do I regret? No, I don't regret it, because I honestly really did, like, I got it for, again, I bought that for like $10. I sold it for like $40 or $50. That one I was just not really a big fan of, because I got it, like, okay, let me rewatch this, and I'm like, God, this is more boring than I remember. And it's when I was like, now this Brain Dead Dead Alive is Peter Jackson. Oh my God, I didn't know. I remember watching this on TV. I forget which watched it in 2007, and I was like, I never saw this until then. And I was like, this shit is fucking insane. One of the most goriest films you'll ever watch. Now it has the more of the fun type of gore. It's not like very intense, like brutal gore, like in terms of like it feels raw and gritty. But I mean, this is a movie that you have to experience. Now, hopefully, so this is again, like I said, this is a Spanish release, but it does have the English audio. So this was about $22. So all these were like about $22. And it was like buy 3 get 1 free. So one of these was free, or either free or 50% off or something like that. Yeah, so I do highly recommend this. It's a gory good time. Like it's an insane movie. So now this one isn't. This was a Umbrella. No, this is not an Umbrella release. It feels like an Umbrella, but this is one that was childhood grew up with, and that is Three Ninjas. The Three Ninjas film collection. Easily something I think a lot of us grew up with. If you guys haven't watched these, you're missing out. The fourth one is the one where outside of the parents and the grandfather, all the kids were recast. And then Three Ninjas Knuckle Up should technically be the second film because it has the same kid actors, but because I think that took a while to finish filming, they went to start filming, I think, Three Ninjas Kickback, which they had to recast 2 of the actors because one was filming a TV series, which was Tom Tom, and the kid who played Rocky in the first three Ninjas and Knuckle Up. I think he decided to quit acting. He quit acting, so they had to recast. And then Three Ninjas High Noon Mega Man, which is full recast. And it's the one that has Hulk Hogan in it, has Jim Varney, even the kid who played young Rocky in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He plays Colt in there. So it feels really odd with at least that one, because with Kickback you understand because the one was busy. Well, at least you understand with one of them they had to be recast because they quit acting, so they had really no choice in that matter. But this is just kind of, I don't know, it's just very nostalgia. I think my favorite one is actually Kickback. I do go to Kickback a lot more. I have fun with High Noon and Mega Man, but I admit that is the worst of the 4 films. Knuckle Up is the one I think I finally watched a few years ago, because that one I did not remember whatsoever. Because again, the ones I remember watching were Three Ninjas Kickback, and High Noon and Mega Man. Knuckle Up, I don't even remember. I think I had the VHS, but again, it's one that I don't remember. 3 of the 4, like, I feels like even if Mega Man is the worst one, it still feels memorable because you remember being at an amusement park, you remember Jim Varney, you remember Hulk Hogan, you just remember all the kids being recast, being different. But this was cool. This is a 4-pack film. This is US capable. So yeah, it says region B on here, but it is US capable. Or I wouldn't, because they even have it on. It says yes, it works for works for US players. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think of the Three Ninjas franchise. Something that I grew up completely with. But yeah. So next, this is the MCU pickup stuff that I did not have, or one is part of the Sonyverse and the rest are, there's still, I think, one movie, Marvel film I have to complete for the at least for the time being, for the movie side of it. I don't have any of the TV series. I'm still debating if I really want to do that. It's just because they're kind of they're in the $40 range for all this, and they're only in steelbook form, so we'll see. So for this, the last thing I needed for the Sonyverse which was Madame Web. I wish I had the slipcover, but at this point I wasn't complaining. The steelbook was a bit more expensive, unless I think you go into Amazon. But I went to Please Rewind. This is where I got about 4 of the films that I have here. It was like, I forget the deal is like buy 3 get a certain something off. But yeah, Madame Web is considered the worst of the Sonyverse films, and I do think it is the weakest, and that's more of just like they did not know what they wanted to do with this film, especially hearing they cut out like 20 pages of script. They kind of really like the concept was there. I really like Dakota Johnson as Cassandra Webb, aka Madame Web. I think her idea with the clairvoyant stuff is the interesting stuff. But it's when you get into like with the girls and their future as future spider characters, also they have potential. The problem was they don't have that screen. That's like in the future stuff. It's like, how are you selling this to people and you're not even getting a lot? And I know some probably were going for like seeing Sydney Sweeney in here because of that. And that suit. As someone who I know Madame Web from the animated series, so the potential of eventually her getting there, well, depending on how this did well. They also had Emma, they had Adam Scott as Ben Parker, and then you had Peter's mom, technically played by Emma Roberts, but because she's pregnant in the film, that's supposed to be Peter. But I think they cut out that stuff really about that. And I know there's the Pepsi commercial. There's also the stuff with Cassandra's mom with spiders, and then the villain is a Spider-Man like character. There's a lot going on. I've only watched this once since the theater. And the reason because I wanted to check it out again, and I had the other films of the Spider-Verse of the Sonyverse, so I was like, pick it up. Has some special features like Oracle of the Page, Fight Like a Spider, Easter eggs, deleted scene, future fusion, and casting the web. Yeah, I know, not gonna be everyone's favorite. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. This is one, again, I collect movies and I collect the franchises, and I have most of all the other films. So if I have Thor Love and Thunder, the Quantumania I think is still better like in terms of Love and Thunder is a frustrating one because there's things I really like about it, but the things I don't really show up even worse, like the goats, Thor's meathead personality throughout the film, where it's just like comes and goes, where they decide to want to have him be emotional, but then it's just like, especially that opening sequence with the Guardians, like, nah. But yeah, this one is the one, obviously we get introduced to, I forget, this is where we're introduced to Jonathan Majors' character, and then he goes into Loki. I forget how that worked. Is a character I knew of from the animated Avengers show that lasted 2 seasons, so that's why I was kind of really excited about this character. And then they brought back Corey Stoll, and he played, I forget the character he played, but it was not what you expected. They brought in Catherine Newton to be Cassie, which for a lot of people thought it was a choice because they had someone cast for her in Endgame, but they recasted her. I think she was disappointed with that. I remember being okay with this. I think it's the weakest actually of the 3 Ant-Man films. But I still had enjoyment with it, but again, it's a collecting thing purpose, but it has All in the Family, Formidable Foes, is King, and then audio commentary, which is interesting. That has the comment. I mean, I think a lot of the MCU films do have the commentaries. Next, we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This is probably one of the more emotional films and one of the longest films that's not a Avengers film, because this is dealing with the aftermath of the passing of T'Challa, but also obviously the passing of the oh my god of the actor who played T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman. And this movie deals with that, and it's very emotional. They also introduce the Mayan stuff. I forget the character. Starts with N, or starts. He's like kind of like, he has the fin. I forget what's his name. It's supposed to be, I think people compare him to kind of like Aquaman. I can't remember his name, but I remember, yeah, this was a very emotional film. A lot of people feel like they probably should have recasted T'Challa, but at this point, I think it was going to be hard for them to do that. They wanted to give, T'Challa and Chadwick their, I think they'll probably be ready to cast a new Black Panther, or new T'Challa sooner rather than later. But I think at this point they weren't ready for that, and I'm sure, I understand that. I think for other people, I think some people were just like, probably should have, but I did really like this one. And they also introduced a character that got a series called Ironheart, which I did not like the suit they used for Ironheart in this movie. I'll just say that. I think that I still haven't seen the Ironheart series, but okay. So the next three are the newer ones that are. So next we got Captain America: Brave New World, which was which is the first Cap movie that's not with Steve Rogers and Chris Evans. This one had a behind the scenes issue because it was promoted as one thing, and then they went to do a lot of reshoots. They changed the title, and yeah, it became what this. So I'll say this: it's a Captain America sequel in an Incredible Hulk sequel, which I was happy about, actually. I like that concept. The problem is how they handle some of the look of the leader, I'll say, which I don't think is awful, but it's not what you kind of wanted with the leader. And I think there was images of what he originally they were planning for him to do, but they changed, or they decided, oh, that didn't look great, we'll do it this way, and it's just like, and this was directed by Julius Ona. Forget what he did, but yeah. But and then you also had Harrison Ford having to take over as Ross because of the passing of the actor. But a lot of people were not a fan of him because of his personal life. But yeah, the actor passed away. So they brought in Harrison Ford, I think, which was really cool, and I think he does a good job. I think Sam Wilson, and then they also brought in what's his name? Danny Ramirez to be the new Falcon, which I think he was good. I think this was solid enough, but knowing the behind the scenes stuff and what else we could have gone, I think it's the behind the scenes, and there's some like obviously Greenstein stuff towards the end that's really frustrating because it's like obvious the background. It's again, I think it's unfortunate that this is the way they had to do Captain America 4 with the behind the scenes stuff in terms of the reshoots. But yeah, I still enjoyed it for what it was because I was really happy hearing it's like an Incredible Hulk sequel. That's one of my favorites of this franchise. So you got Assembling the Mantle, Old Scores, New Scars, gag reel, deleted scenes, and audio commentary with the director and director of photography, which is really cool. I'm happy that there are commentaries on this stuff. Whether you like the film or not, it's really cool to have the commentaries. Next, I wish this came with the slipcover, but in order to get the slipcover, I think there was people selling it for $60-$70. I'm like, yeah, I think is Thunderbolts. Easily my favorite of this and Fantastic Four of last year's MCU stuff. This was amazing. And I don't put that lightly. This is emotional. This is dark. It goes through a lot to deal with these people of anti-hero status or were villains to a degree, dealing with pain, trauma, and stuff that they wish they could change, like, and bring it all together to help, it's just one of those films that I'm telling you, I didn't think I did not have the interest when you heard, not like I didn't, like, when you first heard about it, it's like, I don't know if I really interested, but once the trailer started coming out, I'm like, this looks really good. And the performances, man, Florence Pugh, oh my god, gives a tremendous performance. She just goes for broke here, emotionally, physically. Sebastian Stan, he's always good as Bucky. There's nothing. Wyatt Russell also surprised me, because when I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I despised that character. It made me like Daniel Bruhl's character much more, which is kind of crazy because I didn't like Daniel Bruhl in Civil War, performance-wise. But Wyatt Russell's character, I just despised. He was just kind of a douche. But then in here, I mean, he's a douche, but he eventually, you start to get everyone. You start to get what they're dealing with and how they're feeling, like with him, because he was supposed to be the one that replaced Captain America and Falcon the Winter Soldier, but then he killed somebody, and he comes off, and then after that aftermath with his his wife leaves him, kind of thing. Olga Kurylenko, who plays Taskmaster, unfortunately is the one that doesn't get as much development at all. I think a lot of people, there's a reason why they probably chose to do that, because it's how the fans responded to that choice of using her as Taskmaster and Black Widow. It is unfortunate that they went that way, because she's the one that doesn't. In a way, she's the Slipknot of the Marvel universe, of the Marvel, where, because a lot of people try to compare this to Suicide Squad. It's a bit different, I would say, because they don't have bombs in their neck, so they weren't. The idea is there for sure. Lewis Pullman, as he was as Bob / Sentry, fucking amazing. Emotionally, you feel for Bob. Like, I love the relationship between him and Elena. I mean, David Harbour, as here, and especially his, everyone's relationship here is just so damn great. I just loved everything about this film. Like, it's so hard not to, I went to see this movie 4 times. And that's hard. Now I can't see a movie 4 times unless I go in one day. But yeah, this is a movie that I just vehemently loved. And I don't know what else to say. It was amazing. My expectations got higher and higher once I saw the trailers. And I think one of the songs that was playing. But yeah, huge must watch. If you guys have not watched this, please check this one out. It is very damn good. One of the best MCU films. I forget where it's in my list. It's at least in my top 5. That's how damn good this is. And the director, Jake Schreier, is directing the X-Men. It has the Around the World and Back Again, dive into film's breathtaking opening with Florence Pugh and Cola Lepar assembling a team to uncover how misfits, anti-heroes become the Thunderbolts. All about Bob and the Void. Join Lewis Pullman in the creation of his 3 characters, gag reels, deleted scenes, and director audio commentary. The last thing is the Fantastic Four First Steps. Easily one of my. This is the best Fantastic Four movie, period. Visually, the performances, we get an actual what's the character? Him. I can't remember. It's been a, and I remember I watched this a few times, but yeah, this movie is what you wanted. They set in a 60s tone world with the Fantastic Four, and it's what they needed to do, and I just felt like they absolutely captured what they were meant to be. I loved all the characters. I loved Pedro and Vanessa Kirby as the main God, I can't remember names for the life of me for some whatever reason. But yeah, they are really good. Johnny Storm, played by Joseph Quinn, of course. Ralph Nielsen as the main villain. He's great. Everyone's good. Max Shateman, who I believe he did the WandaVision, came to direct this, and he did a hell of a job, because always with TV, going from TV to movie is always risky, because I don't know if visually, I think it's always going to be the thing. Are you going to be able to be creative? Are you going to be able to make your movie stand out? Like the cinematography. I know that's also, you have to pick out your cinematography, but will you have that? To me, and this is where one of the things about, like, I think Peyton Reed and John Watts particularly, where my biggest issues with them is their cinematography choices, or their films don't feel like, I mean, I think you can get away with to a degree, because there are some really nice looking shots when there are, but I mean, like, open wide worlds, when you're looking at open wide worlds, like with the Spider-Man films, like, there's some really nice shots throughout that home trilogy. The biggest problem is it just doesn't feel creative enough. And creative enough also goes into the cinematography and the way the movie looks, and some beautiful looking shots. And sometimes it just looks too bland for its own good. And that's a big problem. And this movie's just stunning from start to finish. Especially how they use the villain, Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer. This is just an emotional family unit. It's family character driven first, and then action second. The same thing with Thunderbolts. It's about the characters, and then you get the superhero stuff at some point. And I really love that about these films, because of what they were able to do character wise. Because if you don't like your characters, again, some movies you can get away with that, sure, but when you're talking about two films that are being put into this universe, and eventually they're coming together in Avengers Doomsday, you have to care about these characters. You have to like them, and you have to do them in about 2 hours or so. This, I think, was under 2 hours, was about hour and 51, hour and 52, which it felt longer, but in a good way. Whereas, like, say, like Superman, to me felt like shorter, but it was longer by about 16 minutes, which was really frustrating for me in that sense. I felt like Superman should have been a little bit longer, or the pacing, the pacing just felt really great for Thunderbolts and for Fantastic Four. As Meet the Family First, Fantastic Futurism, From Beyond and From Below, audio commentary, gag reel, and deleted scenes. So yeah, that's all my pickups for this month. There's a couple other things coming into the mail. They're coming. I was not able to get them at this point. I'll probably save those for July, which I'm gonna have a few things for July. And I think I have one coming in September, two coming in September, which I won't spoil. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. All the pickups, and which ones did you guys get any of these? Did you guys have them? What did you guys think? Let me know what you guys thought. This is Let's Talk Horror Movies. Sign off. Peace.